Hello, this is Shilpa here. Welcome to my blog this month. Now, this time I want to share with you a case which was taken way back in 2003 when I was actually very new to this way of actually traveling through the stages, through the follow-ups. Now, that was the time when I was actually realizing what is very effective in the follow-ups. So, there is a place where a patient comes to you, he wants homeopathy, but obviously doesn't want to go all the way and give you symptoms which can actually help you confirm your prescription. So you make your prescriptions, but you want to actually take him when he is ready to go. So this is a case which was really very helpful, which explained to me how you go when a person is ready to go there. All right. So this person is actually the husband of one of my patients, and she mentioned that he was diagnosed with the severe gastroesophageal reflux disease, and he's complaining of heartburn and eructations and uneasiness in the head and lots of wind problem. And he was a very busy man, and he had absolutely no time for extensive homeopathic consults. So he was taking carbo veg, but it wasn't working, or it worked at times. He was not sure. So she was really, can we do something? Can you give him something without a consult? And I said, well, he's already doing that. He's taking all these over-the-counter medicines, which is what is the scope at that stage. We could help, but I need to speak with him. So he booked in for only half an hour. And then he comes in and he's very nervous and very hurried. And I managed to get some symptoms out of him. This is all what we do. As beginners, you try and let's get something here. So I have this vertigo and headache, he says, and this whole thing moves, Vat, which is an Ayurvedic term he uses, where he says it moves all over my body, my legs, my shoulders. So there's some sort of pain. I chew tobacco. I've been drinking for the last 6 to 7 years, and I want to quit that. I crave a lot of sweets and spicy food, which is again not helping. And these are hereditary problems, so I have those. So what can we do? And that was all. There was absolutely nothing beyond that. And obviously he was, looking at his watch and what can we do? Now I thought, all right, this is what we have. Let's make a prescription on this basic information I have, use my therapeutic knowledge, use everything what you can do at stage 2 and 3. So it was more or less stage 2. So I used Nux vomica, I used sulfuric acid, I used lycopodium. I think lycopodium helped him the best, but again, there was a stage when none of these remedies were making a big difference. And you know it. And the patient knows it, but he doesn't really know. So, because he's not able to go any further. And he wants to still come for the follow-ups, but he realizes and you realize, what do we do next? So I explained to him. I said, look, I need to understand what is that deeper connection from which all these expressions are coming up. And I said, I'll leave the choice to you, and you can come back to me when you're ready to go further. So he understood it in a way, but he said, all right, he would think about it. So that was where we left it. So now what happens is, sometime down the track, he quits drinking very suddenly. So your wife gives me a call and says he is very, very depressed and he's gone into this acute state of withdrawal. He's become very angry, very violent, and actually it's affecting her and the whole family. And he's being treated for withdrawal symptoms, but he mentioned that he wants to opt for homeopathy because he remembered that there was something deeper and he wants to change at that level and he's willing to go there. Now, this was a very important conversation there. And I said, all right, let's give it a go. Let him come in. And then he comes in. And he says, I'm very, very violent and very angry, which is not me. I don't do it at home. I might be very angry at my workplace, but it's not what I am. He says, I'm very nervous, I'm very depressed, and I'm absolutely restless, and this is like something's going to happen. I feel I'm tilting to one side when I stand up, so there's a lot of vertigo. This gas comes up in my chest, and this nervousness is much more in the evenings at 5. So it's also worse in the sunlight. And then I say, what's happening? Whatever happened? How did you come, to this stage? And he said, I have these imaginations and ideas which are crowding in my head, and I'm dreading everyone. I don't want to go out. So he's actually stopped going to work for the last few days. He's, scared of being in crowds. He's scared of being in high places. And he says, I don't know. Maybe I have this anxiety neurosis, which is happening there. I know I twitch and I have fears. I fear of health, of disease, of death, and I have dreams that I've had brain cancer and as if I've lost my life. So I said, what's happening here? It's like, he was just bringing it out. I just had to actually question, help him just go deeper and deeper and find out what has happened at this stage in his life. And he says, I want to become a big man. I want to create a big empire. And how will I do it if I die? And that was the reason I just thought one fine day I'm going to quit it. And he quit it, the alcohol. And he says, I want to take my empire at the top of the world. It should be something very different and very innovative. I want to do it in a very different way. And I said, has this always been the case? And he said, yes, I've always wanted to grow. I've always been very ambitious. But it's not any growth. I want innovation. I want the satisfaction of achieving that goal. I'm really intelligent, so I run a very successful business which is doing quite well. But I want to do out of ordinary things, not something which everyone's doing, because great things inspire me. And he said, I've always been very fond of Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani. Now, he's a very successful, he's number one businessman in the country. So he said he was zero, and from that scratch, in 30 years, he has become a great man. He brought a different innovation, and I am that sort of a creative person. And now I am signing a new business deal with him. So he is at a stage where he's approached by this company where they want to sign a business deal with his company. And now this is the time I have to perform. I have been dreaming of this all my life and I've got it. And then what happens? And suddenly I've developed this vertigo and nervousness. I have anticipation before any appointments, before meeting anyone. I won't be able to talk in presentations or in important engagements. I've got back the diarrhea. And he mentioned he had this history of nervous diarrhea. And the whole picture emerges now because everything falls in place for me. There is clarity because now we know where the expressions are coming up from. So we have these expressions of ambition and anger and violence and fears and tension and needing to grow and innovate and create and perform and expand. But it's coming from a more deeper spot. And this for me confirms the remedy, which is argentum nitricum. So now whichever way you go, you can confirm it. You can go through the physicals, the mental symptoms, use a Bonninghausen format, use a Kenton format, look through the periodic table, look at the Silver series, look at the column, which is the 11th column. It's like the Sholton and the Shankaran format. It's all falling in place because everything confirms this remedy now. Now I'm no longer confused whether it's a lycopodium or it's a nux vomica or it's a sulfuric acid or it's, I need to give something at stage 1 and 2. But that's not the point. The most important thing for me was the realization that this person could come to this place because we let him come there on his own. So it is about empowering your patients and then taking them through because the patient has to be ready to go there. He wants to be helped. He would have quit homeopathy if I would have been impatient. He didn't have that vision, and then I force him or probe him because I'm not happy with what he's giving right now. I want to go deeper because only then I'll be able to give you good prescriptions. But that's not the point, because they have to be ready to come there. And once he was ready, he was just there. The case flowed, everything flowed. I hardly asked any questions. And then the remedy confirms beautifully through all stages. So it's like he made a choice. Before he couldn't, he went to a stage and it was okay, because we just need to respect them and just give him prescriptions at that stage, and that's fine. But we need to communicate that, look, you are here in this process. This is good, but take your time. So the follow-ups, he comes back on the 28th of June. So now to reach this place, I took 6 months, right? He was on the other remedies for about 6 months before he comes. Well, I'm ready now, Shilpa. So he says 28th of June, he takes the medicine. He comes back after 15 days and he says the nervousness is under control. The wind is much better. The twitches are still there. And so I give him a 1 ml dose to be taken as required. He comes back, follows back on the 19th of October, and he says the nervousness is better. The acidity is very slight. I have had a dream of impending disease. Now, dreams are important because they tell you what's happening at the subconscious level. So I give him 2 more doses. I take it as and when required. He comes again on the 6th of January, which is 6 months from the first time he took Arj. Acidity, he's had acidity since the last 2 or 3 days because there were some tensions going on, but he was well since the last time. So at that point, I do not repeat the medicine but he has reached a stage where he's stopped all antacids. He's quit alcohol now for the last 6 months. He's no longer nervous. The twitches are gone, the fears have come down, the confidence is up, and he is actually enjoying life. So that is such an important part of the process, because he knows he's doing well. Even if these things come up at the local level, you can always look the body, because it's now transformed, it can take care of those. So he later followed up on phone, but he required no medicine after that, and he's been well since. So this case actually taught me a lot. It just taught me that this is a process which can take time, but it is just for the patient and also for you, it's such a satisfying process to just go and be there when they want you to be, and take them when they want you to take them. So hope it just inspires you that follow-up is a process of knowing where you are and knowing where you want to go, but also ensuring that the patient is with you and taking it on, because then it is a real mutually satisfying process. So thank you so much. Hope it helps you understand something about the follow-up process, because I've had quite a few sort of emails coming back saying, tell us about the follow-ups. And I think it's the same thing. Follow-ups, the first prescription, the second prescription, it's the process you take over. Sometimes you can do this in just the first consult, and sometimes it could be the 10th consult. But it's because you are with the patient. Thanks so much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.